The conversation in the humble home of Capernaum had turned to matters of devotion when the Master shared, in a voice filled with meaning. A revered devotee withdrew permanently to a secluded cave deep in the forest, claiming he wished to serve God. There he lived among prayers and thoughts he believed to be blameless, and the people, convinced they were witnessing a holy Messiah, began to revere him with indescribable respect. Whenever anyone needed to make a decision in worldly affairs, they would rush to seek his opinion. Fascinated by the admiration of others, the believer, stagnant in worship without work, came to believe that everyone should adopt his way of life under the noble pretext of earning a place in paradise. If an active and well-meaning man came to him with a business idea, he would respond in scandalized tones. "That is a mistake. Quench the thirst for profit that boils in your veins. This is criminal ambition. Come, pray and forget greed." If a young person asked his thoughts on marriage, he would cry out distressed, "That is nonsense. The flesh is dominating your spirit. That is lust. Come, pray and burn away the sin." When someone came to him seeking advice about taking on a noble role in public service, he would exclaim, sorrowfully, "That is a disaster. Turn away from the desire for power. That is vanity and pride. Come, pray and overcome wicked thoughts." If someone with good intentions sought his view on organizing a celebration of fellowship, he would object irritably. "That is a calamity. The people's joy is unruliness. Flee from disorder. Come, pray and shield yourself from temptation." And so, because of the immense authority the saint held, each visitor would leave sorrowful and, in time, join him in idleness and solitude, completely paralyzed in spirit. Time, however, which transforms all things, eventually brought death to the lazy worshipper's physical body. All his followers believed he had been lifted straight to heaven, and he himself was convinced that from the tomb he would ascend directly to paradise. But to his utter astonishment, he was led by forces of darkness to a dreadful purgatory reserved for murderers. In desperate tears, overwhelmed by the unexpected suffering, he asked why his spirit had been thrown into such a horrifying and hellish storm. He was informed that though he was not a murderer in the common sense on earth, he had been identified there as a slayer of courage and hope in hundreds of his fellow human beings. Jesus fell silent, but John, deeply moved, said, "Master, I never imagined that excessive devotion could lead someone to such terrible misfortune." The Christ, however, replied calmly, "Let us sow faith and trust among people, always understanding that each soul has its own unique path. Faith without works is a lamp that does not shine. Let us never forget that discouraging others from their sacred journeys towards goodness is one of the gravest sins before the Almighty and compassionate Lord."